watches the ships that go sailing.
During E3 2006, when the next generation of games started to appear on show, and 2K Games was eager to show off its new title, Bioshock, I was instantly interested because it was announced as a spiritual successor to System Shock 2, one of my favorite games. Bioshock generated a profound level of hype with a variety of stunning trailers and TV commercials. In 2007, it hit the shelves and I picked up a copy on the first day and prepared myself for an entertaining evening, pumping up the volume and sipping away a glass of Mountain Dew. As you probably gathered by now, Bioshock is essentially a horror-themed game, and is presented to the player in a first-person perspective. You're placed back in the 1960s, somehow surviving a plane crash, and finding shelter within a remote lighthouse. Immediately you find out this is no ordinary lighthouse, and a plunge beneath the water to gape in awe at a city that presents itself.
Bubbles, it's an angel. I can see light coming from his belly. Wait a minute, he's still breathing. It's alright. I know he'll be an angel soon.
From what I understand, they started utilizing this across a decade, developing machines for quick genetic modifications, and started using it as a currency called Adam. This came in addition to a series of hypos with the ability to regenerate it, known as Eve. Basically, as a result of abusing it like any junkie, the supply ended and residents started to turn insane, slowly dying without regular Eve. What started out to be a utopia to revolutionize society has become a dystopia located fathoms beneath the sea. As you can probably already guess, your character will undergo genetic changes himself to increase his chance of surviving the splices of Rapture. Your specific powers are called plasmids and form an entire set of spells in the game. You're able to shoot lightning, frost, even bees from your hands. In addition to this, the protagonist can use passive tonics coming in engineering, combat, and physical varieties, which can do things like reduce damage taken. This is all connected to an intricate backstory which you'll be able to further understand from things such as audio diaries, radio chatter, posters, and even ghosts. It's ultimately a highly linear journey through Rapture with interesting plot shifts, gorgeous art deco environments with a hint of steampunk, and endless amounts of action. There's also an immense amount of water, as you'd expect, making for some really cool effects to instill that feeling that you're under the sea. One of Rapture's most peculiar residents is the Big Daddy, which is presented as a Hulk in a metal-clad diving suit. The Big Daddy act as guards for the Little Sisters, extremely malformed girls, whose role is the harvest of Adam from the deceased so that it can be redistributed as Eve. In order to gain Adam, it is necessary to defeat the dangerous guardians so that the Little Sister can be harvested. When I say harvested, there's two methods to do likewise, forming a moral shell for the game. In order to gain more Adam, the player must effectively kill the Little Sister. At the other end of the spectrum, she can be rescued, gaining only half the Adam in the process, but saving the girl and turning her back to normal. You'd probably be saying, hey, I'll just take the maximum gain each time, but that's not always the solution. Saving more girls will eventually give the player plasmids control the Big Daddies themselves, who act as very powerful combat allies. Furthermore, the overall choices made will affect the outcome of the game's ending. Plasmids are not the only tools available. Guns and ammunitions are plentiful in Rapture, with specific types of ammunition and weapon upgrades. The combination of plasmids and weapons provides the player with a lethal arsenal to dispose enemies as they see fit. For this reason, fighting splices is a barrel of fun and effectively makes you a superhero. On this point, that's really what you become. Bioshock is probably the easiest FPS around. The developers were aiming to add some elements of an RPG, but practically failed because your character is amazing at everything, from hacking devices to using flamethrowers. I mean, there's no real customization. And your character just gains access to better abilities like in other FPS games. If you even manage to die somehow with 9 medkits on hand, you'll be sent to something called a Vita Chamber, suddenly restored with a decent amount of health. Splicers work well though. They'll perform actions such as jumping in the water to put out fire and healing at medical stations. As a horror-themed adventure, Bioshock seems to work well because the splicers are generally frightening and have a strange dialogue. You'll meet some memorable characters in the game that enforce this, such as Sander Cohen, an artist that wishes to test you by sending you to murder his students and photograph their corpses for his masterpiece. The atmosphere prevails almost too well because of the symbiosis of eerie ambient noises and classical music playing in most rooms. It's hard not to feel immersed at times, and it's probably the reason I couldn't stop playing. There are also a handful of startling moments in the game, and they're generally better than cheap scares in other horror games, and you'll really love them. I found it disappointing that you didn't have to conserve your ammunition though, because it practically litters the city. Bioshock is an excellent example of a game that's taking us to the next level of immersion, and shows us the Unreal 3 engine is here to stay for upcoming titles. It looks unbelievable and has taken us to an obscure setting that works on almost every level. Going through the city armed with nostalgic weapons and fistfuls of elemental power is wholesome fun, and interacting with various things such as the Little Sisters and the Big Daddies is interesting to encounter. What I really hated was not being challenged, probably because this is a multi-platform title. I forgot to mention that you're even given an arrow pointing to your next objective. Finally, the endings are just terrible, but everything prior to that easily makes up for that. Although Bioshock is essentially a carbon copy of System Shock 2, it brought the game series into the future and a really fascinating setting. It's a lovely shooter with a level of elegance and sophistication rarely seen in games, and is one of the best modern shooters available across every system except for the Wii. I'd love to say more about it, but unfortunately I've gone over time again. If you're going to purchase it, then go for one of the console versions, since it looks and sounds fantastic on a large television screen, and has extras including no Vita Chamber options. Dunkers there for watching this week. See you next time.
Oh God, you sick fuck, let me out of there!
I need your clothes, your boots, and your motorcycle.
Hey.